Hello and welcome to another Six Sages Gaming Duel Series. Today we have a match for you between the Final Fantasy IX deck on the left and the Type-0 starter on the right. So as requested, we are going to be bringing a starter duel series to you guys. See how it goes with some Opus 2 upgrades and then do it one last time with Opus 3 once that's finally out. Now we might be splitting this up across articles and videos, but we're going to have a little bit of a evolution of the decks. Also have some background music now, so let me know if you guys enjoy that for the course of the duel series, and if you do, that is something that we'll keep in. So it looks like our Final Fantasy IX player is getting some, classic characters off to the start, but not having any backups, which will certainly hinder its ability to progress their board state, where the Type-0 player is certainly getting a bit more of an even start. So it looks like we're just going to have that Chocobo and pass, and then getting back to the action. So it's really a bummer. It looks like we don't see another backup on the Final Fantasy IX player side, but he could just attack here for a 9k, and very unfortunate here as the VV is going to die to this Diablos EX burst. He has 3 characters, so it's going to deal 3,000. And as a reminder, you can't respond to EX burst, so he can't even sacrifice off his VV to kill the Dragoon because there's no priority step for that to happen. And looking at his hand, it doesn't really look like he has that many of great options to play here. He's just going to decide to pass, keep a beefy attacker for the next turn. Type-0 is going to be able to get in for 2 free points of damage. VV, a Ranger. Black Mage and pass. It is a little bit unfortunate that we can't see the player hands all that well, but we can at least give you an idea. And if you guys don't know what comes in the starters, hopefully by the time you're watching this, you're going to be able to pick them up at your local game shop. But otherwise, head over to FFTCGmognet.com/starters, and we do have a text list with linkable cards that will show you what is in each starter deck. And again, absolutely pick up one of each if you can. Overpaying for the Samurai feels terrible here, but it allows him to use the Sage to give it haste and get in a point of damage. So at this point, knowing that the Samurai can easily block the Chocobo and even take care of the Dragoon if in a pinch, unless he trades up with it, he allows him to be a bit aggressive, try to win the damage race, and get it, hopefully end this before the Type-0 board can set up too much, because once they get a limit of Type-0 characters, and he does have the ace in hand, as I'm sure he's going to play his turn, you'll see that it's very hard to come back from some of those board states. And ace is absolutely what makes the Type-0 deck worth getting, and is probably the key card that's going to make it a real deck in the Opus 2 meta. So here we're going to have ace, and then bring 9 with him. The thing here to note too is that some of the Type-0 forwards only come as a 2-of in the starter, which is unfortunate, but they do come in the Opus 3 booster box, which comes out at the end of July. So if you can wait, only get one starter deck. If you don't want to wait like me, and I really want to build the best Type-0 deck I can before Opus 3, I'll probably end up buying 2 starters. Again, the fact that they're going to have Mog and Maria to give all cadets plus 2,000 power potentially is absolutely absurd. And again, it looks like Matt's here doesn't have a lot going on. Yeah, Steiner, a Fairy, and another Sage, unfortunately, so his hand is just a bunch of nothing. So Steiner here is going to be able to get any Final Fantasy IX character, which is a very important note, meaning it can get Eco or Mog, some of the other backups, or it can get another VV if he wants to go that route, or he can get Ezadane, which will allow him to be aggressive, attack with a couple of them, and then activate all of his characters, or force his opponent to discard a card, what have you. Of course, he has to wait a turn before he can play it, but having 3 modes on it certainly helps. And again, because he does have a Final Fantasy IX character, it is just a 2-drop 7k, which is certainly not bad. It just doesn't shine that well in the starter deck match here, but it is a card that I'm very much looking forward to playing with, and just getting the 9 starter in general, so I can make Fire Water an even better combination than what it is currently. So we're just going to see a pass back, starting to worry about all those forwards that our opponent has, knowing that he has Queen in the deck, so we can just tap down his best blocker, which of course he just draws perfectly, and allows things like 9 to pump up one of his other guys and just be able to attack with the entire team. Three-drop Chocobo, not that great here. I can't see that last Type-0 card in his hand, but certainly I'd like to see a Queen here just tap down his biggest blocker and then swing out with most of his team, not all of his team. Looks like he's just going to go for the pump, so this way he can threaten first strike if he needs to. Black Waltz for 3 it looks like, so he can kill the Chocobo, and that's about it. The consideration here is if he hits another EX burst to put it towards one of the cadets, but I think you'd be better off just killing the extra forward. And then of course here he could trade with Ace if he wanted to, but again then he gets a card back, and that's certainly not a position that you want to be in with being able to grab a card back. So we're just going to see the 5th point of damage off the top, and then we're going to see the blowout in the Type-0 deck with being able to activate up to 3 Type-0 characters. And that does include, of course, backups as well then. So we're just going to see a quick scoop, can't get in the points of damage, can't trade, and that's going to be all for game 1. Going into game 2 now, we see the Filter Mog, so he's allowed to put a number of cards he wants on the bottom of his deck, draw that many, decide that he wants his hand, and it's just going to keep it. So unfortunately just a very vanilla water 2-drop, so it's a very interesting card that you don't ever really want to see turn 1 unless your hand has just been absolutely bricked, but late game it can certainly help you find those more key characters. On the right, you just played Deuce, which is absolutely a card that I'm very excited about. Being able to deal 4,000 damage to something for each cadet forward you have is absolutely absurd in a wind-based deck. So Final Fantasy IX character finally getting some backups into the field. Try to play the resource game, and again, here we see having to pay 3, but getting down the Ace into 9 combo. And then, for example, getting to follow this up with the Mog, if he has it, to give him both plus 1,000 power, is certainly enough to have a more aggressive start. So now we're just going to match to the 9k power, just to be able to threaten a block. And here we see he did draw the Mog, so it is going to make them an 8k and a 9k respectively. And then, of course, he can bump one of them up by 2 with 9's Declaration on attack as well. And it looks like we have a Rem in hand as well. And Rem lets you get back any Type-0 category card, which is important because you can get your Diablos back later. So here we're going to see an attack and a pump to get him above the damage range. Black Waltz for an amount that doesn't matter. And then he has the option here to attack with Ace. You know, if he blocks, he gets a card back out of his break zone, and he has another one in hand anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I would just, you know, threaten that you might have something and get a card back, because it looks like Sice there as well can be an absolute threat. So rightfully so, just takes the point of damage, doesn't want his opponent getting the card back, and is using his early turns as, or early life I should say, as a resource. VV finally coming down. He can pay 2 red at any time, or 2 fire crystal points to deal 8,000 damage and sacrifice off Vivi. But unfortunately, because of that backup, he can't kill 9, which would be the target he cares about. And of course, killing Ace here would feel very, very poorly. You get to remove their 4, but they get a card back, and you've just wasted 2 resources to give them a card back to their hand. So now Matt trying to decide if he's going to go in for the damage, try to get a trade off for a couple of points, or if he's just going to stay on defense so he can hopefully block and then fling one of his other forwards at one of the other guys. So here we see that he's going to choose to do the 8K. Type-0 is going to get a character back, a forward back from the break zone. And Matt's going to take the point of damage while he can. So it looks like we have a Dragoon for a point of damage, or we could play the other ace in our hand and get 2 more forwards into the field, which I'd probably go for the ace plan again, attack first, and then do that. And it's hard to see what other card in hand. It's a Sice and something. Obviously discarding the Dragoon, and then whatever other card he wants to. And I think Rem you have to hold on to just because of how powerful it is as a backup. So here we see Ace bringing down Sice with him, and the thing here is that Sice and 9 is what really creates the power swing combo in the deck. 9 can attack, buff one of your guys, and then Sice can attack and shrink one of their guys, and it creates too great of a power swing for your opponent to do anything about it, so they're likely having to burn either an Odin or some prime removal spell to take care of one of them so they can actually block your forwards. Chef coming down, which is only plus 2,000, only has 2 cards in hand. And again, Amarant just not being able to do too much here. So Matt's going to play the Samurai and pass, just trying to get more blockers onto the field and see if he can at least stop some of the early aggression with being already at 3 points of damage. And it looks like it's a third ace. Would have been nice to see a lightning card here just to be able to Rem into Queen, tap something down, and then be able to swing out with the rest of the team. So we're going to announce that we're going to combat, give our opponent the opportunity to fling something if he wants to. Which, if he's going to, he wants to do it now before your opponent has the opportunity to either shrink something or buff something, because once attacks are declared, the ability is going to trigger no matter what. You miss your window of opportunity to fling something at one of your opponent's forwards without them getting some kind of value out of it. Alright, so a little bit of table talk back and forth, deciding that was best to pump. And then attacking. Which, I'm not sure why that traded now that I'm looking at it, assuming he pumped himself. So he probably buffed one of his other forwards then, from what I can tell. Which, if he's attacking there, it means he probably buffed Sice so that it could live through combat. So here he's going to play the Rem. I'm assuming that he's just going to get 9 back. Decides to go with the Queen to try to push through for game on the next turn. Well, maybe not push through for game, but at least force our opponent where they have to block unfavorably and then win on the following turn. because he's going to be at 6 points of damage, so he'll have to block whatever the second attack is. Ifrit is certainly not a bad pickup here, being able to kill his opponent's 2-drop, but again, Ace is still just sticking around, threatening some damage. And the problem here is that Ace is now an 8k as well, so Matt doesn't have any forwards that could favorably block here. So, gonna kill the forward just before our opponent gets a chance to do anything, and then be able to get in for a couple points of damage here. Or probably just one, rather, because we know our opponent grabs Samurai and we don't want to leave just... Oh, guess not. We're gonna go for it. Knowing our opponent doesn't have a haste character, it's probably fine to... Oh, just kidding, they have Dragoon. And that's when he realized that he does have something with haste. Well, speaking of Dragoon, but it's the wrong one. Fairly certain you just tag with Ace here, play the Chocobo, and leave up Queen on the following turn to block one of their biggest guys in the hopes that you draw something else to either pump the Chocobo or just play your other forward out. Again, his Ace is bigger than either forward, so there's no issues with him just turning it sideways here. And then it looks like we're probably just going to see the Chocobo for value. And the hopes here is that you have Chocobo into Rahum and another lightning card, or just something to finish off the rest of that damage. Obviously, a Diablos would be insane as a draw. So here we're going to have a Garnet, which I think he's out of Moogles at this point. So at best he could grab a Fairy and draw a card. Yep, so that's the look of frustration that he doesn't have a Moogle left to grab, which would be his best target here. Oh, just kidding, he does have one left in the deck. He must have missed it. So play the Moogle for free. And nothing really great in terms of draws there, unfortunately. So he's probably just gonna have to play a forward to play a forward. And this is where he forgets that he has Deuce, so he deals 2k to attacking forward, blocks, and is able to kill these Samurai. Which is certainly something that's pretty easy to forget about when it's tucked away some undercards. Cyclops, they're a pretty decent pickup because it allows for some combat training. Is going to make his Chocobo an actual real threat on the following turn as well. So attack with Ace, put him to 6, and now saying that you really have to get ready because I'm going to start attacking now for the final point of damage here on out. So here we see a 9k finally coming down, but again with that Cyclops in our opponent's hand, it's certainly not a great feeling. So Final Fantasy IX player is trying to get in a point of damage where he can. Queen for the EX burst and just the blowout here. And then the top deck to finish it off. So going into our third and final game, you notice how I finally fixed the camera angle. So again, the Final Fantasy IX player getting to start with the Vivi, but no backups yet again, and that is certainly something that now 2 games he's struggled with. And again, even if they're just starter decks, you have to have backups to not be forced to just discard after discard after discard, which can eventually put you behind in the game. So here we see Rahum, but again, it has to be inactive, so it doesn't actually kill it. Which we do catch. And the other thing is, so those were the series of Opus 1 cards where the Lightning Summon had to deal it to inactive, Shiva was dulled, and then Ifrit was the one that hit any summon. So he should have Vivi back in the field. So, quick rewind, playing this out. Because this also changes if he wants to activate it, though Vivi doesn't have to be active for his cost. Probably just choosing to draw a card here just so we can get something going. And then finally getting to play a backup. So it looks like the Type-0 player does have the tutor, so he could take a couple points of damage if he was comfortable with that, find his best Type-0 forward to go with the ace that's in his hand, and then the next turn he can just drop down ace in another big body that our opponent would have to deal with. So taking a few minutes to mull over his decisions. And again, he can't really just play a 5k here because DV could kill it and his opponent is still winning the damage race. And then he also doesn't want to play too high of a value of an 8k forward because DV can just pay 2 and trade up with it that way. So he would really like to see a Mog here to give him all plus 1000 power so he can play something like 9 safely, but I'd imagine if he had it in his hand, he would have just played the power back up by now. So here he's going to go look for a Type-0 forward. Again, I have to say how insane it is that Type-0 gets both a tutor and a break zone recursion out of these starter decks. Again, let alone Rem being an EX burst is just silly. No, looks like he does have the Mog in the hand. Oh, he did have another win card, unfortunately. Nope, instead just Dragoon Pass. Quite uneventful. Now we get to tutor for a Final Fantasy IX forward. Interesting note here is now that you could go for Steiner so that you could find Mog to draw a card and bounce something late game. If you want to live the card advantage plan, which is probably what I would grab here, actually. It's a very interesting choice. What is correct to grab? It's the choice, in my opinion, is either Steiner or Amaranth, which would allow him to fling something in a pinch. Amaranth, rather. But it looks like he just grabbed the VV. I think is what we saw. So get an attack in here. Hits Rem for all the rub-ins to get that queen back for free. Ugh. And then VV is just going to trade off and kill the Dragoon. And then we're going to play another VV. So again, I took the extra point of damage, and now we have the opportunity to drop Ace and bring some friends with it as well. So bringing down 9, now he has 2 very beefy forwards our opponent has to care about. And again, VV has the opportunity now to, because he doesn't have the forward to break 9, he has to pitch a card to do so. Then he still has to deal with Ace. And here he's realizing that it's only an 8k, so he doesn't have to do the trick to boost it to 9k damage, where if he had Mog out, he would have to do 9k. Then here we now just have the Battle of the Sevens, which is also the card that's in front of both of the starter decks, funny enough. But certainly Ace is the better card at this point in the board state. So we're going to see a Mog, we're going to discard some cards. And that looks like just a pass. Yep, so now we're finally going to see Mog come down, break the power stall, and boost Ace up to an 8k. Steiner finally putting in some work, getting to draw a card, well, not draw his card, let's tutor a card from our deck. Again, this one lets us search any Final Fantasy IX character, so that includes forwards and backups. And do remember that you have to search or reveal off your searches. You can't just say that I'm adding a card in my hand, you have to prove that it is that card, and yes, it is in the starter rules. That is a question that does come up quite a bit yet. So drawing up, choosing what he's going to do with the attack, gets the attack in, put him to 3 points of damage. Then he should have 5 cards in hand, so he's going to be able to decide what key forwards he gets to play this turn. She had Queen, that'd be really great, but fortunately doesn't. Just looks like he has another VV, which again, VV is not that great of a card here because you can surely kill Ace if you really wanted to, but they're going to get a card back. So VV is just very poorly matched up right here. And sadly, even Legendary VV would be not all that great in this board state. So no reason not to attack here, knowing he's going to play another forward or so. And again, Ace just being an 8k, so if our opponent would have to burn something to take care of it. And again, we're still getting a hard back. Again, so the Mog is a free toss away here, but it's hard to see what else is in his hand. So it looks like he's just going to play another 9. Which again is a 9k now in this case, and is able to help block some of those forwards that the Final Fantasy IX player has. So here we're going to see the summoner trick from earlier, making it VV deal an extra 1000 damage. and then be able to kill 9. Matt desperately trying to stay ahead in the damage race and even things out where he can. So center again coming down, probably going to find up, or tutor up rather, our favorite fighter this time, just to get a 9k on the board, which is something you could certainly use at this point in time. That is the one thing I really wish that in water we had some kind of, or within Final Fantasy IX we had a pump like the Type-0 deck had to just give all Final Fantasy IX characters plus 1000 power, but no such luck, and it looks like we're going to grab Mog here just so we can draw a card. In Leviathan, something in a pinch. And while being able to bounce our opponent's ace potentially back to his hand might not be the best feeling in the world, if it lets us get in a couple points of damage and saves us from dying, or wins us the turn on that, or wins us the game on that very turn, then it can be worth it. But it is something that you have to time absolutely correct, or you will get punished by your opponent getting to play something for free again. So he's just going through the break zone, counting some numbers of something. Siphon 7 coming down, which again, Snakebite is absolutely hands down my favorite S effect out of the starter deck, because being able to cancel a Shantoto's or Cloud of Darkness's effect is going to be very, very strong. But now our Final Fantasy IX player has to deal with the threat of our opponent shrinking something, and of course being able to black hole something potentially as well is certainly very scary in its own right. Choosing to get aggressive with this light card. Gets in a point of damage and hits Diablos. Just going to be able to ping something for 6 and untap his backups. But at this point, if he wanted to combo with something in his hand, he would be able to kill something. And the ace activated by mistake here. It is just backups. He was thinking of the other part of the text, so that should certainly be dulled still. And again, not that it mattered much here because our opponent was down attacking, but please keep in mind it does only activate backups. Small mistake on our end. Again, at this point you have to be very worried that your opponent has a queen or something that can tap down your last blocker. Scythe being able to shrink something as well. Very quickly pushing our opponent to 6 damage, and then getting in the last value guy and being able to untap all of our forwards. So that's all we have for this video, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and we'll catch you on the next 6 Stages Gaming Duels. This video made possible by the patron support of viewers such as yourself. Thank you to our honorary sages.